Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and back with me, Mr. Will Harden. Good to have you, buddy.
Nice to be here, Jim.
We have more fan footage sent in by Wells Willett, the coolest name I think I've ever seen. That is fantastic. This is a collegiate race. Dartmouth College student Wells submitted footage from an A category race. It's a crit, but the days before this, Will, tell us about it.
Yeah, Wells has been playing the game pretty well. He's been winning a lot of stuff. Wells has been winning, and he's been winning a lot of collegiate stuff. He has an Omnium this weekend, as a lot of collegiate races go. So there was a road race and a team time trial the day before. He rode the road race well, won it solo, and then his team also won the team time trial the day before, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, and the way these Omniums work, guys, in case you're not super familiar, like GC, like think about, Tour de France. That's based on time. That's general classification. Omnium is points based, so it only has to do with your placement. And in the crit, there are also sprint points. So throughout the race, we're going to talk about this in a second, there are 3 kind of races within the race where there are additional Omnium points on offer. And with that said, it's a crit. Certain type of racer excels in a crit, and it's generally the type of racer that has a good job, does a good job handling their bike. Doesn't necessarily have to have a sustainable amount of power output. Although Wells can do 380 watts for 20 minutes, that might not mean a lot for people listening to this, but he is very strong at like climbing and a sustained type of effort. Criterium racing requires punchy efforts where you can do, over 1,000 watts or even more out of corners, or for sprints, or for preem laps that give you Omnium points. He can do over 1,400 watts too. So Wells is this type of rider that can kind of do everything really well, pardon the pun. But we're going to dive into some footage, and we're actually going to skip the first Omnium sprint preem lap because he didn't have it recorded. But he got third, and he's out for blood now on the next 2, and also the finish of this race. And that's where we're going to pick up the action. All right, so we are now 23 kilometers left to go in this race. You can see the course. Preem lap's coming. We have about a lap and a half, and bam, Vermont sending one on the left-hand side. That looked pretty threatening because Vermont's got a couple of strong guys. They're going to play a big role in this race later. But, Will, what's the plan here if you're trying to gather up some Omnium points and not let these sprint points be taken by Vermont?
Yeah, man, I probably would have jumped onto his wheel as soon as possible. Like, you see him attacking there, and you go immediately. I feel like he's looking around right now.
150 watts, 150 watts, indecision. Yeah, like, what's he doing?
He's got a teammate in the field, so maybe he's looking for his teammate, but, like, this is allowing a big gap to grow. And to this UVM rider's credit, like, that is a good tactic to play. Just, like, send it when everybody's looking at each other.
And look at the wind direction, too. Like, I think that bottom stretch of the course is a cross tail. Like, if you go on the far right-hand side of the road and just nuke it, like, it's going to be really hard for people to match that effort. There's basically no draft. And then here, like, kind of seemingly out of nowhere, he lights it up right through the bell lap. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to chase that guy down. But there was so much indecision, like you said, that, man, he's got his work cut out for him. In just under one lap, he's got like 10 seconds, maybe less, 7 seconds to close down. I don't know if he can make it.
Yeah, there's still a good gap. Really gambling here, and everybody else in the field should be like taking note of like what's going on here and when to attack.
Not in the,
especially this guy.
Yeah, and he's doing. You can see his bike jerking around and stuff. Like you could tell he was working so hard. But choose the moments to do the hard effort, like in the crosswind and stuff. He ends up chasing the guy back, but man, it's like such a commitment and energy. And I felt like he was just on the wrong side of the wind, wrong side of the course. Like right here, for example, far right. This is the straight we were talking about. And he's going to get passed by everyone and their mother coming into this final corner. This is now like 150 meters to go until the sprint. He's not doing that much power. He's kind of come off the gas. But, like, just a clean line. It kind of confused me that nobody passed him right here. But dude's strong. Like, he pushes one more time up this little riser to finish, and he takes down the second preem. So it wasn't super graceful. Well, I'll say that. But you can't argue with raw power.
Yeah, he's got the strength to back it up. Why not?
So, we're picking up action here. 10 kilometers later, and you could tell he was like positioning himself for a counterattack, and it looked really good. And then he took a really bad outside line, scrubbed all of his speed, and I feel like you just got to give up when that happens. But our buddy Wells is determined. Dude is strong. On the wrong side of the road again. I think he'll figure this out eventually. But he's got to be just towing everybody. He's doing power, but he's not doing like breakaway power, like establish a gap sort of power. What do you think, Will?
Right. And it could have been one of those instances, like he just caught that guy who was off the front a little bit, and maybe that guy didn't pull through, and everybody like didn't go around on that little line that he creatively took, and now he's got a little gap. He's definitely got a gap now. Like he's looking back and he's hitting the pedals now. So this is one of those attacks where you're not really attacking, but all of a sudden you're off the front. Those are maybe my favorite attacks.
They don't happen very often because usually it requires some level of execution, right? Like if it were me and I came through that corner as poorly as he did, which part of it was not his fault, he just got kind of pushed wide by that rider, almost went into those barriers, I would just be like, okay, let me try that again, because you have to get that slingshot effect and like establish a gap the easy way. He just started motoring. Again, a testament to the strength of Wells. Like, dude is just strong, and he's making it work, not particularly gracefully, but raw power, So here he is by himself off the front, but that doesn't last long. Let's fast forward a little bit. All right, so they're ringing the bell now. We are on our third and final preem, and as you can see, our boy Wells has been caught. In fact, he was caught a few laps before this. But let's talk about the composition real fast, Will, because you can see two riders in front of him are on the same team, right? These are both the where are they from again?
Yeah, two UVM riders, so Vermont, and then he's got a Pittsburgh rider, and then one other.
So 5 in total, but these Vermont riders seemed very motivated. And right here, I was like, oh, they're doing the old drop the wheel trick, like the classic. But then, like, the Vermont guy, like, they're not committing to a specific strategy here. The Vermont guy, like, kind of dropped the wheel, but then he kept riding. The guy in front didn't really commit to getting away. And what this allows our protagonist Wells to do is just pretty easily close that gap. Good corner he took. And again, like, the Vermont rider's not on this correct side of the road either. But then again, like Wells isn't in the draft. So this is all very strange to me, considering we are like 300 meters away from a preem lap. And he goes early. This is too early, right, Will?
Yeah, that's really, especially to like not be sprinting anymore. Like I would have been sprinting right up until I had to hit the brakes for that corner, But he makes it. He makes it happen. He sticks it, gets around that corner first, and I think that's the strategy he's going to try and take into that last lap too.
Again, like I know I've said this a couple times already, but like you can't argue with the raw power that Wells is able to make. And even now, like he just finished that big effort and he's like back out of the saddle grinding again. But he's got riders behind him. You can see the Vermont rider. Anyway, he takes down the last couple preems, and this is the composition that's going to make it to the finish. Should we see how the and now we get a glimpse, by the way, of the rest of the riders. But should we see how the end of this race plays out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we're about a lap and a half to go, Will. This group of 5 still together. They're about to contest the sprint victory in this third and final Omnium stage, the Collegiate race. And here's the math I'm doing when I'm in this position as a sprinter, which Wells can kind of do everything. He's a sprinting included. Is I'm thinking, like, what's the gap and how much energy do I need to commit? Because there's a certain calculation you're doing in order to maximize your chances of victory. And as a skilled breakaway rider yourself, Will, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's kind of as lazy as you possibly can be, which is the opposite what most breakaway riders think. Like you're trying to just put a maximum effort and get away. But now you have to be crafty. You have to be as lazy as possible. Like put your sprinter brain on, do as little work to get across that line first as possible.
Without getting caught is the major caveat there, because there comes a point early in a breakaway where everyone's working together in the breakaway, even though you're on separate teams. You guys all want to stay away. But then at a certain point, and in this case, last lap, you start thinking these guys aren't my teammates anymore. And you make small decisions that are very consequential. Like, for example, Wells a second ago pulled off on the right in a right to left crosswind. I would have pulled off on the left. Doesn't seem like much, but you save 20 watts here, 20 watts there, and you are trying to punish your competition and save as much energy as you can for the finish. And then the pace you're setting when you're on the front, by the way, I wouldn't be doing any work on the front if I was Wells in this position. 2 guys on Vermont, you start thinking, I want to do as little as I can in order to stay away and make sure I don't get caught, but not so much that I'm too tired to contest the sprint. And look, this worked out for him the last couple of preems. He's going to do it again, the super early sprint. I mean, guys, this is like 275 meters. Again, the wrong side of the road, but who cares when you have all of this power? Guy is so strong, and he's going to come into this final corner 38 miles an hour. I thought he was going to run into the side of that brick building for a second, but and then he almost hits that curb, but he just still has so much power. And here's the thing. Congratulations, Wells. Very, very strong display of power, but I predict that you are going to cat up super fast. You're going to find yourself in a P1-2 race, and you're going to have to learn some of the fundamentals like holding a wheel, like knowing how to rotate efficiently, stuff like that. You're going to be a force to reckon with when he gets that figured out. What are your thoughts, Will?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit of tweaking here and there, and that power is going to serve him super well in the bigger races.
Dude is clearly gifted. So thanks for sharing your footage, Wells. If you guys have footage you want to share, we're trying to pick more of these back up throughout the offseason. Stay motivated together. So thank you, Will, for organizing this footage. Thanks, Wells, for submitting it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Dude, that kid sucks. Oh, glad he didn't